Venusaur, Venusaur, Venusaur. Oh, oh, we're recording. Hi guys. Yeah, I didn't know I was recording. But since you're here, let's go over our TPL Season 3 off-season. What is up, everybody? Team Snagem West here with some TPL off-season content. Obviously, we're going to be covering my team, or our own team, because if you're watching this, you're part of the Solrocks squad, no matter how bad or good we are. Mostly it's pretty bad. Mostly it's pretty bad, but we're learning Pokemon. So let's go ahead and let's just jump into it. You know, we don't need no long introductions. You guys know who I am. I know who you are. Like, we're all bros here, right? All right. So I was just going to kind of briefly cover our off-season moves. So going into Season 3 TPL off-season, obviously, we had the same as every other coach. We had 100 free agency dollars, and we had 7 draft picks. Which some months were worth money, some months were worth draft picks. I'm not going to get too much more involved in that. But the Pokemon that we did keep, originally before the, before the draft and before the free agency moves, we used our 6th round pick to keep Quillfish. We used our 6th round pick to keep Diggersby, because both those mons were drafted, so they were worth basically like a later draft pick for like this current TPL season. So we use our 7th round pick to retain Quillfish, we use our 6th round pick to retain Diggersby, and we used our 5th round pick to retain Ditto. I just saw value in using our picks for that, and then we spent $30 to keep Clefable, which then our first free agency move was we traded Clefable to San Ysidro for one of their 1st round picks, their 5th round pick, and the $30 we used to retain Clefable. So that put us back up to 100. And we gained a couple picks. You know, obviously, right off the bat, now it's like, okay, well, now we have all these Pokemon retained. We have too many draft picks. So then I ended up trading a 4th round pick for like $10. Nothing crazy. It wasn't helping us move up the draft. I saw no value in it. And then we, just made moves. We went down to like $10, $20 at one point. Shot back up to like 60, went back down to 20 again. Kind of did some bouncing around with money, but then eventually we got hit up for our 11th pick, because originally we had the 11th pick overall, and that was our only 1st round pick, obviously, until we traded for the 28th from San Ysidro. So from there, long story short, we traded back 11 all the way back to 24, and then we gained $100 for that. That was a deal the coach and I agreed on. And I thought it was a pretty fair deal. He didn't want to give up draft picks, and he didn't really have any Pokemon to offer. He didn't really see value in his money. So, I think it was a good trade, and he has eyes really set on a certain Pokemon. So, he gets what he wants. I get the move back, so there's not really as much pressure to draft a really good mon, or, I don't have to reach, I felt like. So I was happy keeping 24 and 28. And then obviously after a few deals we gained like a 2nd round pick from like Angel or whatever. So then we just traded our 2 2nd round picks, which were like, early to mid 2nd round, so there's still pretty good value there. We traded it for the 32nd pick overall to get our 3rd, and basically I'm just gonna talk about that real quick. And then we use our first 3 first-round draft picks to we used 24 and 28 to move up to 9th. We were trying to make a deal with Anthony back when he was at 9, and then he moved up to 7. So then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna hit up the coach that moved up to 9 then, because I was at a point where I was like, I had to let go of a first rounder, you know, after picking up a couple mons from free agency bidding, and I was in a situation where I was like, well, I'd rather trade this to somebody that's gonna get value from it. And like when I look at my deals, I try to look and see what's fair. Fair unless I really just don't really care about it too much. But you know, so when we trade 9th, coach got 24th into 20, which again I think he ended up getting Heatran, so he still got like a top 10 pick. Like he still got a top 10 pick. It still worked out for him. He get another first rounder. It was all. I think it was a pretty solid deal. But let's go ahead and jump into the squad. So going into week 1 next week, we do have Ditto that we retained. Ditto's my boy. I really like Ditto. I had a few people actually try to trade me Ditto. Like some people offered me their first, second round picks for Ditto. I like Ditto, especially since we're introducing legendaries for the first time in TPL. So obviously there's Choice Scarf, Imposter Ditto. Obviously you're gonna run Transform. I always max out my HP on Ditto. Always. Because obviously HP is the only stat Ditto retains. So I always make sure EVs are maxed out, IVs are good. Just to, I don't know, maybe live a hit, maybe. Ditto, pretty predictable. Obviously last season I ran a couple weird sets with Ditto. Like I think we ran a Quick Claw variant one time and actually popped for us. I was actually shocked. I wasn't expecting it to. We'll usually switch Ditto's item because Ditto's pretty much always going to have Choice Scarf, and that's pretty much what you run with it. So I mean, it just, you know, it's very limited and it's very telling because people just go, okay, well I know he's gonna, you know, bring Choice Scarf Ditto on my setup on, so I'm gonna bring Choice Scarf on my setup on, you know, and just a 50-50 it a little bit. Pretty predictable with Ditto. You know what you're gonna get. Can transform. I call it my anti-sweeper. Like I'm perfectly okay letting somebody set up in the back, letting them knock out, you know, 1-2 Pokemon, let them feel good about themselves, and then come in with Ditto, knock out, like, you know, knock their asses out pretty much. And then Diggersby is another Pokemon we kept. Diggersby is my boy. Obviously huge power, very big, doubles its attack. I wish Diggersby base attack was a little bit better, because even with huge power, its base attack, you know, doubles, so 56, you know, you're only talking like, what is that, like 112 base attack with huge power, which there's a lot of mons that have definitely a lot more attack than that. But again, you put like adamant on this guy, you know, like adamant Diggersby. You can even make a play for maybe Jolly. I think Jolly Diggersby is a good. I think I ran a couple Jolly sets. I think we've even ran a couple defensive sets, because 77, I mean, it's not like I mean, it's not terrible defenses, but it's just like, it's okay. Obviously huge power of Diggersby. You can pretty much strap anything. I've put Assault Vest on this thing. I've put Expert Belt when Life Orb is taken. I've ran Life Orb. I've ran Choice Bandit. I've ran Choice Scarf. You know, there's a lot of options on what you can do with Diggersby item-wise. Usually, you know, we're just gonna put maybe like an Expert Belt on this. That would give it like 20% more damage, which isn't crazy like on super effective attacks. But the thing I like about Diggersby is its move pool. Diggersby is probably one of my favorite Pokemon to Dynamax, and I had pretty good success, I think, early in this season of Season 2 Dynamaxing Diggersby. Just because it gets all the elemental punches. So depending on matchups, you know, like you have Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch is pretty good to run on it. You got Ice Punch. You got Fire Punch. You know, You got quick attack, which I didn't really run a lot of quick attack. It has facade, which, you know, maybe if somebody... Facade is a move I tried to use in Season 2 with people when people were trying to toxic spike me to death, because I didn't have any hazard removal. Facade was a set that I tried to run with Diggersby, but fortunately could never really live a hit. It gets access to, like, obviously Earthquake, Stab, Earthquake, huge power, that's huge damage. Gets access to, like, Grass Knot. You know, it gets, like, let's go ahead, let's take a look at its physical attacks here. Stab, Body Slam, huge power, that's good. 30% chance to paralyze, that's pretty good, that's pretty good. Earthquake, obviously we covered. Elemental Punches, even gets access to, like, Gunk Shot, High Horsepower, Iron Head, I've run Iron Head a few times. Knockoff is pretty huge. Even gets access to Wild Charge, which I did not know it did. I learned that until now. Super Fang can be pretty useful. Super Fang is something I've been thinking about running for maybe, like, well, maybe not so much Blissey, but maybe, like, more of those, like, those physical walls. Super Fang might be a useful move for me to start using. There's Smackdown to ground the flying types. You know, I've ran Bounce, because Max Airstream Diggersby is pretty good. I ran Bounce before. Other than that, I think that's pretty much out of all these moves I ran. But Diggersby, you know, strong physical attacker, okay speed, base 78 speed. Not, again, it's okay. It's not good or great. It's okay. It's not terrible, because I don't think you get to, like, terrible speed until like anything below 70. I think is terrible. I think like 71 to like 85 is okay. You know, you can strap Choice Scarf on it, and then you're rocking out at, like, what, 140 base speed, which will outspeed some things, but there'll be some ones that you don't. One Pokemon I am excited to start using going into our third mod here is Klefki. I've never used a Prankster mon, and this is the reason why I bid so much to trade for it. I think we traded, like, our 3rd round pick, our 5th round pick, and $30, I think, for this thing. So we put a lot of money and a lot of investment into Klefki. It's Steel Fairy typing, so it's immune to poison, which is pretty cool. So it loses one of its weaknesses. Obviously, fighting, I think, would be neutral against it. But yeah, Prankster, even Magician, I mean, you could run Magician. It's kind of, I guess that's, maybe that's more of a, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a time when I would ever run a Magician. I guess there would be a few exceptions that we run Magician on, maybe just for fun. But mainly you're going to run Prankster with it. Prankster, obviously you have, like, Light Clay. So to make, like, reflects and stuff, if you want to use this thing gets access to Reflect, gets access to Light Screen. It's also a hazard removal because it does get access to Defog. It gets access to hazard. It can set its own hazard with spikes. I don't think it can get tox. Yeah, it can get tox. It gets spikes and yeah, just get spikes. Access to spikes. I was like, I don't think it gets. Let me check. But you get iron defenses. You can make it bulky. It actually has a pretty good move pool. I was actually looking at this move pool earlier, like Steel Beam. Pretty cool. We lose half our HP, but I mean, that might be fun to use. Prankster Thunderwave is going to be so good. Prankster Toxic is going to be so good. You know, Flash Cannon's good. You know, there's a lot. There's different stuff. You can even run Draining Kiss. You maybe get some more healing back. But like Light Clay, Klefki is going to be the way to go. Stats wise, it's pretty like there's nothing that like jumps off the page stats wise. Like, it has decent bulk, but bulk, you know, it's basically a great support mon. It only killed me. I think Mario like ended up Dynamaxing this thing against me last time we played in Season 2, which I was not expecting him to Dynamax Klefki, and that thing put in work for him. I think the thing got like 2 or 3 kills on me. So this thing, I mean, looks like a support mon, but it definitely has some pretty good moves, I would say. Definitely some pretty good moves that we can kind of play around with here. I'm very excited to use it. I've never had Prankster before, ever in a draft league, so, or I think in any regular Pokemon playthrough. So I'm excited for that. So now going on to the fourth mon here, we got Venusaur. We spent, I think we ended up spending like $60, I think, on Venusaur. Its beginning price was, I think, 50. I think it was 50, but nobody bid on it, so I was just upping the bids. Once I realized people were spending more money, I was upping the bids on it, just to kind of buy them out. This thing is kind of huge because you get access to like Overgrown, which like at a third health, you know, our attack stats basically get like Life Orb, the grass attacks. But Chlorophyll, I think, is the main one. You get Chlorophyll. You can run things like Focus Sash on it to make sure you live a fire attack. You got, I mean, you can even make Choice Specs. Definitely, I think Choice Specs would be the way to go too. Choice Specs might be good. Life Orb, very good with the 30% boost there. There's a lot of options when it comes to held items of Venusaur. Like, that's what I'm excited about to using it. Is, you know, and if our opponent has like fire types coming up, you know, we could pop a Fire Berry. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I don't remember the name of it. But like, you get access, and like, this thing has got pretty good moves. Like, obviously Venusaur is probably going to be more of a special attacker, but you could run physical Venusaur. I mean, that's not out of the wheelhouse. I mean, it's not too far off from its special. But like, you get access to like Earth Power. You get access to Giga Drains. You get access, it even gets knockoff Weather Ball. I know it learns Weather Ball. Weather Ball is huge, especially in the sun. It gives you a fire type attack with Venusaur. Synthesis, it's got Swords Dance. You can up its attack if you want to. You got Synthesis, which will heal more in the sun. Sludge Bomb. Really, it's got access to Roar, so if I was going to roar something out, it's done. We got Rest Sleep Talk. if we want to do that. We got Leech Seed for gradual health. We can even put leftovers on this thing too. Just go crazy. Venusaur is actually pretty bulky from what I remember. I think out of the Kanto starters, it's the most bulky. Don't hold me to that. Yeah, really don't. I thought I've heard or read that somewhere. There's still a lot of Pokemon that we can learn about, but this not too bad. I'm excited to kind of play around with it. It's even got access to Curse. We can curse if we want to. Like, we can do whatever we want. It don't even matter. We can get all wild. Growth. The Growth is a good one too. Growth is really good. Growth's used pretty well. Raises up 2 stages in the sun. And obviously, our Weathermon. I wanted to play around with weather. I wanted to get weather somewhere. It was just perfect that Venusaur and Torkoal were there in free agency together, so we took advantage of that. Because I actually kind of want to do more like a rain team. I think a rain team would have been fun. But obviously, you're going to be running probably Drought on Torkoal. Torkoal, you can kind of run like different things on it. Like, there's Eject Pack, which might be fun to use occasionally. There's the Heat Rock. That makes Sunny Day last longer. Now the only issue with Torkoal is we're gonna have to probably pivot it around. Good thing is this really slow. So it does have like better weather priority when it comes to setting the weather. To like mons like Pelipper and stuff that would, you know, obviously come out after it or come out before, kind of predicting the switch maybe. But Torkoal, another mon, really great defense stat. 140 base defense, it's wild. But this thing will not take a special attack hit very well. I mean, it still could a little bit. We could even run like Assault Vest on this if we wanted to. But Torkoal does have access to Rapid Spin, so it does have hazard removal itself. It's got access to Ancient Power. It's got access to clear smog, so if I'm tired of an opponent, you know, setting up on us, we can clear smog it away. It's got access to Yawn, it's got Eruption, it's got Fire Blast, it's got Flamethrower, it's got Gyro Ball, which might be fun to use in some sets, especially against more speedier teams. It's got Scorching Sands, it's got Solar Beam, it's also got Weather Ball, so we can just strap Weather Ball on this, power will double. So, I mean, that would probably be like one of its most powerful fire attacks, other than like Eruption, and that will like lower, yeah. Yawn's pretty cool. Let's look at useless moves here. Incinerate could be useful occasionally if we need to. It's got access to Mimic, so we can mimic something. We got Self-Destruct, we got Skull Bash. It's got its own Sunny Day, it's got Withdraw. I mean, very fun mon. It's got Body Press. You know, we got options when it comes to Torkoal. For the longest time, it wasn't literally until I was looking at it during free agency to see if like I really wanted to pick it up. For some reason, I thought it was Fire Rock type. I didn't realize it was just Fire type, which is good because I think it was Fire Rock type. It would definitely kind of bring it down a little bit. But it's good that it's just Fire type. I mean, it's still got its weaknesses to ground, rock, water. You know, there's ways, definitely ways to beat it. So it's mainly just trying to keep this thing alive. Maybe pivot around it. We'll see what happens. And then another Pokemon I decided to pick up just because nobody was outbidding me. Because I was trying to save money. But I was like, okay, if everyone's just going to let me have these two Pokemon, we'll put in a bid for something else. And that's Weavile. So Dark types are probably my favorite types in Pokemon. But I don't think I've ever drafted a Dark type. So I'm excited to actually use a Dark type. Dark Ice, so I mean, we're quad weak to fighting. We're weak to steel. We're weak to fire. Weavile is definitely going to have its issues. I think even Bug might be super effective against us. But it's got like pressure. Pickpocket could be useful if like maybe we're running a berry set and we use it and we can literally like take a hit and then steal an opposing Pokemon's item. That actually might be useful. But this thing is very fast. 125 base speed, 120 base attack. So this thing is going to be absolutely wild. And we get access to like Stab Knockoff, which is huge. Yeah, we get access to like Stab Knockoff, which is always good. We get like, I think, Icicle Spear. An Icicle Crash, Icicle Spear for, you know, 2 to 5 residual damage there. What's the move I'm thinking of that? Oh, it's Ice Shard I'm thinking of. Yeah, we got access to Ice Shard. That's a priority move. It obviously gets access to Fake Out. And it even has, like, fighting type moves like Brick Break, you know. It's got Counter, it's got Curse, it's got Dark Pulse. I don't know why you run Dark Pulse, but you could. It's got Low Kick. Low Kick might actually be pretty useful. Poison Jab for those fairy types that decide to come in on it. It's got Shadow Claw. It's got Swords Dance. It's got Taunt. It's got Throat Chop. It's got Triple Axle, which might be fun to use. Maybe we can run like a Triple Axle Wide Lens set, just to increase our accuracy of it not missing. Just give us that 10% boost that we need for this to make it 100% every time, or I guess 95% of the time. Boost it up. So we got options. Obviously, maybe like Adamant or Jolly would be sets that we'd run here. So on and so forth. So obviously we ended up with the 9th pick. Which I was kind of leaning toward Cresselia was the one I was going to take at 9 originally, because I didn't think this Pokemon was going to be here, and that Pokemon is Salamence. I didn't think Salamence was going to be there at 9. Yeah, I don't know. So I was like, well, I guess Salamence kind of chose us, so We didn't choose it, it chose us. So we're rocking Salamence, which I'm actually okay with, because base 135 attack, even 110 special attack, you can run special Salamence. I was kind of playtesting that a little bit. I was even running like a more bulkier Salamence too, with like max defense or max special. Just kind of playing around. I see a lot of people recommend like Life Orb on this thing. Life Orb is pretty popular. You could probably even run like Choice Band on it. If you choose to run special, you can even run Choice Specs on it if you want to go special. Choice Band if you want to go physical. Intimidate, it's got two, it's basically Gyarados. Instead of water flying type, it's dragon flying type, because it's got Intimidate, just like Gyarados, and it's got Moxie, just like Gyarados, which I'm excited for, because I've never had a Moximon, and I loved Moxie Gyarados during the All-Star game, when I got to play with it, and basically made it Season 2 MVP, or Season 2 All-Star MVP. So I'm really excited to actually use Salamence. Obviously, the glaring weakness with Salamence is the dragon flying type, so we could run, I think it's yeah, we can run Babiri Berry for like to reduce those steel type attacks, because we will be weak to those. I think it's, what's that berry? I think it starts with W. Hold on, guys. Oh yeah, it's the Y. It's the Yachi Berry. Yachi Berry for this ice attacks, which we would be quad weak against. So it would cut any damage to those in half. So it would just be like, I guess, just 2 times effective. That's the only scary thing about like Salamence and Garchomp, is just those ice type weaknesses. And I'm not a big fan of Pokemon that are quad weak to something. To me, it's just very, especially ice. So it's definitely got its weaknesses there. But again, Salamence is another Pokemon that can learn Defog, so it gets rid of hazards as well. It's got access to like Dragon Claw if you want to run physical. Let's go ahead and let's just look at physical type moves. It's got Aqua Tail. It's got Body Slam, Brick Break, Crunch. Double Edge might even be useful. Dragon Claw, Dragon Tail. It's got Dual Wing Beat. It's got Earthquake, Fire Fang, Iron Tail, Outrage, Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, Steel Wing, Stone Edge. Is that like all these moves? All those moves are pretty good. Not gonna lie. We even have like an Aerial Ace set here if we want to run that. Be like a Choice Banded Aerial Ace, could be cool. It's got Thunder Fang, Thrash, kind of like a normal type Outrage. Could be pretty useful. Maybe not as much as just running plain Outrage, but I don't know, you could find a use for it, I suppose. But this has got pretty wide moveset. I mean, it's Dragon type, so it should learn like one of every type, like most dragons. Like, it's got Ghost type, so we have like Psychic coverage, and we got like all this. We don't have like a Bug type for Psychics, but we have like other options. We even have Weavile for Psychic immunities, so it does kind of work out, I think, in our favor. And obviously decent speed at 100. I mean, nothing like crazy, but it's aight. So our 32nd pick, which I was almost gonna draft Cresselia at 32. Once I picked Salamence, I was like, I don't know, maybe Cresselia makes it to 32. But fortunately, it was snatched by our boy Marcus. It's picking up at 31, which is a little unfortunate. But you know, it's the TPL, so there'll probably be trades, honestly, when like during the season or whatever. So you never know what's gonna happen. But I did want a more bulkier mom, which is why I was kind of eyeing Cresselia at 9th overall. But I went ahead and went with Suicune. I looked at Suicune's defenses, and it's not as good as Cresselia. I think it has more HP though. It has more HP, and it's like a few points off. I think Cresselia is like 125 or 130 on both defense and special defense. And I think Suicune's even a little bit. Is it faster? It might be 5 points slower than Cresselia. I think Cress might be 90. But I think it has definitely more special attack, so it's definitely could be used more offensively. Obviously, we have like Inner Focus, which might be tempting to run, especially against like a Togekiss. We could run like something like an Ice Beam against a Togekiss. This thing actually has a pretty fun move pool. I was actually looking at it earlier. We got Calm Mind. Obviously, we probably would run like special on it, so it's pretty limited in its special move pool. Kind of like most like not so good legendaries. Like they're a little bit stronger, but they're more limited in their move pools. This thing also gets access to Weather Ball. So this thing during the sun does actually get access to a fire type attack, which is pretty solid against with our team, because it's got Weather Ball, which is like a power 100, fire attack that this thing can pull off, and it's special on top of that. So it's got access to Surf, Shadow Ball, Scald, Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, extra sensory for those fighting types. There's our fighting type answer other than Klefki, Blizzard, and even Air Slash could be used. Then those other moves that could potentially be useful, like Brine. Brine might be useful in certain situations. Mirror Coat. If you guys know me, I love my Araquanid with Mirror Coat. So Mirror Coat, Suicune. You guys could probably see Sheer Cold. We're gonna meme Sheer Cold over here too, just like Brooks. 10,000 volt Thunderbolt. I think it's like all great out there right there. I was like, what is that? I think that's like a Z move, I think. But yeah, definitely options. We even have Whirlpool, so we can trap. If we get a point where like we're in with Blissey or something, we can Whirlpool Blissey, keep that Blissey in so it can't teleport out. Just make it pretty useful. Very limited move pool for Suicune, but definitely you gotta like its defenses. It's gonna be bulky, and it's even on both defenses, so you can kind of, depending on your matchup, you can kind of swing it whichever way. But yeah, very excited for these 8 Mons. Honestly, I'm okay bringing like any of these like 8. Like, I'm okay bringing like any 6, honestly. Like, there might be times where we bring Venusaur without Torkoal. Like, that's how crazy this might get. We definitely got some depth compared to last year. But thank you guys for watching. This is a pretty long one. Be sure to click that like button, subscribe as the season rolls on. Obviously, I post my battles within 30 minutes of when we battle, no matter what day, no matter what time. It goes up 30 minutes, but then right after my match. So subscribe for that, and I will see you guys around the TPL. Peace out. Bye.